So Shawn and I were up on Lake Ontario today checking on the progress of the lake house that we're building up here. This is a really special house. We're really enjoying the opportunity to share some of the details about this with you. Some of the things that are, really standing out to me in this beautiful springtime weather are some of the exposed timber frame details as the timbers come out of the house and provide the structure for the roof overhangs. We have some exaggerated roof overhangs here. And it's just a really special moment to celebrate beauty of the structure. We're using a Johnson's Pine cedar pre-finished product on the underside of the roof overhangs, and that really complements the natural color of the exposed timber frame beams. Yeah, because there's this LP Smart side and then there's this, framing fir strip material here that provides this sort of cavity of space. And that's nice for also keeping the siding dry and the SIP panels dry for a long, long time. We really, really love the LP siding product. It's really nice to install, it's nice to cut, it's nice to nail. And we've had really, really good luck with it long term. You can see here our guys are doing a really, really fine job of installing this product. We've got the fir stripping, which gives us that little bit of air gap between the SIP panels and the siding itself. And that's really important because it helps keep these SIP panels dry. We don't want moisture to get trapped behind the product and stay there long term. And this just gives a place to go and to dry out. So basically, our siding becomes a rain screen for the entire house. It protects it from the elements for a long, long time. And this siding product, this LP Smart side that we're using here is all pre-finished. It's factory finished. And that's really nice because, we can install it, caulk the joints, and we're ready to go. There's a few touch-ups to do, but for the most part, it's a pretty clean, easy product to install.
How much of a pain is it to measure out and get those spigot cutouts or that vent cutout done?
Let's put it on.
For the siding.
Let's put it on straight. Yeah, so some of the details about, when you're going around obstructions, you just have to plan on installing your J-blocks that you can sort of fasten things through. Just makes for a neater sort of connection to those mechanical elements that sort of come out. Your dryer vents, your receptacles, all those things. We kind of frame or create our own little J-blocks. And this system's kind of unique too, if you take a look here. LP Smart siding needs space, It's one of those products that you have to design in a little bit of a gap so that the product has room to move throughout the seasons. So we'll come in.
It's all like using nails instead of screws.
Exactly. So, it gives it just a little bit of tolerance there that we fill with a special caulk that's color matched, and it just really helps, again, the longevity of the house and the siding. I wanted to share with you a little information about the basement system that we've selected for this house. We're using the Superior Walls XI basement wall system, and this is a pretty special system for a lot of different reasons. We like it because they're really easy to prep for. You basically dig a hole, you set grade with a special type of stone, and then they show up with the panels on a truck with a crane. And most houses of a relative size, they can get done in about a day. So that's really advantageous for us as builders because it allows us to get building faster. And depending on the type of year, we work here in Western New York, so we have to deal with the seasons. And what's nice about this system is that it extends our working season. So this house in particular, we were kind of working throughout the winter, and when you're dealing with freeze and thaw in the wintertime, it's really hard to do block laying. The mortar can't freeze, or poured walls. You have to make sure that the concrete has a certain amount of heat for a long period of time. And when you get that flow of temperature in the, it gets really low and cold at night, and it gets really freezing, especially up here on the lake, this system is the only reason we were able to get started when we got started. And it helped us sort of move our project schedule along really nicely because of the fact that it was installed in about a day. So there's some other special details about the system that I'd like to discuss with you. So when you look at the XI walls, these are precast panels. They're pre-insulated, and you can kind of see the shape of them a little bit. They kind of cut in and out like a traditional stud wall. And that's because underneath each one of these studs is a concrete stud, if you will. It's reinforced. And then in between the studs, on the outside of the wall, there's a thin layer of concrete. It's about 2 inches. What I like about their concrete is it's a super, super high PSI, and it's a special kind of formula, so the exterior doesn't require any additional damp proofing, so you can essentially backfill. That's also what I really like about this system. You don't have to parge it, you don't have to seal it, it's ready to go. So just inside of the base layer of concrete on the inside, you can see all of this insulation, this polyiso EPS foam that's in here. So this is really nice because it's about 2.5 inches thick. It gets you a really high R value, even just for a basement, and it's continuous. The continuous part of this is really important because there's no part of this that's going to be a thermal break through the concrete. Concrete moves cold and heat through it really quickly. And the way they've insulated this stops that from transferring into the house. Even behind the studs, they have a couple inches of foam, and the foam is installed in such a way to kind of remove any of that thermal transmittance through the panel, which is really, really exceptional. And if you look a little closer, you can kind of see that there's these knockouts in the panel right here. This is really useful. They've got them about every 2 foot on center on the panel. This is great because if you want to finish this space, if you want to install electrical receptacles, any lighting, it's really nice because you can kind of run your wire through those holes, run it all your electric, no problem, and you can hang your boxes off the studs. And essentially, this thing is ready for drywall at that point. So this also is another huge advantage of the system. It's basically ready for drywall or whatever finish material you want to apply to it. So we're up here at the lake house, and we're taking a look at some of the systems that we're using to build this house. And one of them that I want to discuss with you is the floor system. We have a Tri-Force floor truss system, and we really enjoy this. We love to spec this as architects for as many projects as possible for so many reasons. It's very easy to install. Everything comes pre-engineered according to spec. Whatever spans you need, they'll right size it for you. They're really easy to work with. This open web floor truss system has some really unique features that we really enjoy about it. So when you look at it, you can kind of notice that it's built of basically solid 2x3 material for the top and the bottom chord. And then also the interweb pieces are solid 2x2 pieces, and they're finger jointed at the top and the bottom. I really enjoy those details because, number one, it meets fire code, so there's no additional surfaces that have to be applied to the underside of the structure to protect it from fire. The other thing is we have this nice wide nailing flange. That means that you can install your sheeting, whether it be Advantech or LP, and it gives you a nice wide surface to glue and to nail your subflooring to. The other nice thing that's great about these is they're created in a factory setting. So when you get them on site, they're straight, they're ready to go. There's no deflections in them. And I really enjoy that because you can be rest assured that floor level that you're going to be building the house on essentially is nice and flush and level. Some other key features about this truss joist open web floor joist system that I really enjoy. You can kind of see here it's sitting on a solid 2x10 sill plate. The rim joist is actually a LVL material that is around the entire perimeter. You can kind of see it in the back there. That's what they end against. And then you notice on the end of the truss joist, there's these pieces of OSB plywood. And that's really an important feature because these are adjustable. You can kind of cut them to exacting measurements in the field. We always know that when you get in the field, things are they're always a little differently than planned. So having that adjustability in the end of them is a really useful thing to have. So another really great feature to the open web floor joist system is the fact that mechanicals can sort of pass through the system freely. You can see here we're running some of our gas piping and plumbing and electric right through the system without having to bore any holes. If you think through that process in traditional framing members like 2x10s and 2x12s, you have to spend the time to measure snap lines, measure up a particular distance. If you're putting drain lines through, you kind of have to measure your pitch and drop them. And there's a certain level of precision and time that's invested in boring those holes. You don't just sort of slap them in there. So the ability for us to just freely move all of our mechanical systems through these open web floor joists is a really useful thing for us as builders. Dramatically increases our efficiency on the job. No matter what happens, every time I come on a job site, I always say, if you're gonna go somewhere, make sure you leave it better than you found it. So looks like somebody got a little crazy with a broomstick or something and took out one of our temporary lights. So let's get that replaced. So even though it doesn't technically need to be replaced, you gotta have proper lighting on a job site.